Okay, financial freedom and financial stability have always been my main motivating factors. So here is my full salary progression from high school, making $13.50 an hour, all the way up until now as a FANG software engineer. And no, I don't love making this kind of content, but gotta provide value to my shareholders, the YouTubers. And I feel like I'm gonna go pretty in depth into how I got each of these jobs and why I was working each one. And I think that'll give a lot of insight into my life and some of the choices and decisions I've made that have brought me to here. Starting off with two disclaimers. Number one, this is not how to get a software engineering job, because you know what? I really don't know. I got lucky, and also that's not allowed. I don't want to get fired. So that's disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two is that all of these mostly have something to do with education, and I am so grateful and privileged to have been able to take these opportunities upon myself, mainly through the support of my parents. Whatever it was academically, they always supported 100%. I definitely would have had to work much harder to get to where I am today. I would have had less flexibility in the types of jobs that I could choose, and so I'm very thankful and grateful to my parents and, honestly, the privilege that I had growing up. I know privilege is like a touchy topic, but in my opinion, it's not that, people with more privilege don't work hard. I think everyone has to work hard to be successful. However, the more privilege you have, the less things you have to worry about. Privilege can vastly change your workload. If you have to worry about food and shelter and a roof over your head, that's going to take a lot of your time and energy, versus if you're able to just focus on your studies and your extracurriculars and, things that lay a foundation for building an income or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve and be successful in. So yeah, just like family background, we didn't grow up super wealthy or affluent. My parents moved here, had us kids. For a while, we were sharing pretty much 2 bedrooms. So I shared a room with my 2 older sisters, and then my parents shared a room with my younger sister. And sometime like midway through elementary school, I think 3rd or 4th grade. So when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, my oldest sister at this point was basically in high school. We moved into a house. My dad's business started doing better. We were able to afford more things. But through all of that, all the choices that my parents made were to give us a better opportunities, better education. No matter what our income or what kind of money we had at the time, my parents always made sure to prioritize our education and having those opportunities. So for that, I'm super privileged. I'm super grateful to my parents. And honestly, that laid the foundation for me to be able to be where I am today, have this YouTube channel, have a nice paying job out of college, and go to college in the first place. So yeah. And I think it was pretty interesting and different from a lot of families in that my parents didn't just support us in like STEM or money-making ventures. There was never, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. My older sisters are both artists, and that's what they pursued with their college degrees, and they're both pretty successful at it. So in that sense, I feel even more uniquely privileged. Although I did take a SWE route, because for me, financial independence, financial security was like always my big goal. I want to retire early. It's not that I hate coding. Like I do enjoy it, and I can do it well, I think sometimes. But I know that's not like my end all be all. So that's the route I took, and you'll see that in the way I talk about the different jobs that I had and the different decisions that I made. But yeah, because my parents supported me so academically, my first paid job was as a teacher's assistant. So this was back in 2018, my sophomore, junior year of high school. I was making $13.50 an hour, which was at the time pretty good to me.
She is very gorgeous to me.
But yeah, that's why I say background is important. The reason I got this opportunity to be this chemistry tutor's assistant, not a chemistry tutor from my school, but she was my tutor essentially when I was taking chemistry. And not everyone has the privilege of being able to have tutors, so I did pretty well on my AP, and she could see that I really understood the chemistry, so she asked me, she needed some help grading papers, creating teaching materials, things like that for her own classes. But yeah, I really enjoyed chemistry. I actually love chemistry quite a bit, but that was my first job. There was no conflict of interest. Again, she was not a teacher at my school, but at a different school. But just I had the privilege of being tutored by her. And honestly, this happened in a lot of instances where my mom felt like I needed a tutor for her peace of mind. Like, I didn't feel like I needed a chemistry tutor, but because she pushed me to have one once a week, that is where I had my first job. And that is a very similar story to my second job, which was as an SAT tutor. My first practice SAT, I did pretty well, honestly.
What did he say?
The guy who runs the SAT tutoring place was like, I don't think you need more SAT tutoring. I think you just need to take a couple of SAT tests on your own and just like take it. But my mom, being who she is, was like, all the other kids are getting SAT tutoring and you are too.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
After I finished taking the SAT and I got a good score, the owner of the SAT place asked me if I wanted to come back and be a tutor, and I was like, sure, why not? So this was my junior, mostly my junior part of my senior year of high school, so 2019, pretty much. $15 an hour, got a pay raise. But yeah, it was just because I did well. Like, he was like, if you score high enough, you can be a tutor. My final score only ended up being 40 points higher than my first practice test score.
Huh?
And actually my mom was like, you need to take it again. And so my score went down. And then she was like, you know what, just try one more time. My score went down again. So like, sometimes things will not get better with more tutoring, honestly. And at that point I was just tired. This job was more chill, more downtime. There were more tutors. It wasn't just me working. So basically grading students' tests, explaining problems to them, grading essays, opening and closing shop at the office. Sometimes it was just me there, and it was chill. So then job number 3, and this kind of overlaps with SAT tutoring, but going to a school that was so academically focused, there were a lot of private tutoring opportunities. I started getting requests from teachers, from parents, from I don't even know. Like, sometimes these requests would come from people I didn't even know, but I did tutoring here and there. Like, I tutored some of my teachers' kids. Like, I think there was a tutoring board that I signed up for one time. I got some responses there. And honestly, it only takes one parent. It only takes one satisfied parent, because they will start telling all of their parent friends about you as a tutor. If you're a good tutor, they will start telling all of their parent friends. And honestly, at one point I started getting so many requests. I was like, I'm sorry, like, I have school and extracurriculars too. Like, this started out, I think, at $20 an hour. I think, yeah. At first time I raised at $20 an hour for 1 hour of tutoring. That first student, his mom was like, you know what, actually I don't think my son needs a tutoring. I was like, oh, okay, but here's $20. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I was a bad tutor. But actually, she didn't think I was a bad tutor. She genuinely thought her son didn't need it, because then she started calling me and was like, I have my friend's son, my friend's daughter is looking for tutoring. Can you do it? I was like, it's a hack, I will say, because these parents start offering you more and more money. $25, $30, $40 an hour, $60 an hour at my peak. And this wasn't what I was charging. Like, this is what parents were offering after I said, like, probably no, like, I can't take more students at this time. I would drive around in my green 99 Honda Accord to these really nice houses. It was great. I was making a lot of pocket money, and I put away some of that into savings, which was... But yeah, so that was like my junior, senior year of high school. And then because COVID happened, I still tutored my entire freshman year of college, basically remote on Zoom. Yeah, that's pretty lit. My 4th job, so initially I went to school as a biochemistry major on the pre-med, pre-health, whatever track. Although my parents wanted to financially support me however they could, I actually ended up choosing, out of the top 3 schools that I got to, I went with my 3rd choice because it ended up being the cheapest. The first school I got into gave me basically no financial aid. The second school I got into was actually a public university, but I don't know, the aid just wasn't as good because the 3rd school I went to gave me a very nice scholarship and financial aid. And so, my parents were like, if you really want to go to school number 1, like, we, like, together, me and my parents would take out loans and we'd do that. But I was thinking about it, and I didn't think that taking out, $300K for my undergrad when I didn't even know what I wanted to study was worth it. School number 3 offered still good flexibility, and I ended up changing my major to computer science because I was like, oh, I don't have to go to 8 years of med school and I can make money once I graduate college. Like, sign me up for that. I don't regret it. I do still like biochemistry, the human body anatomy and all of that. Maybe one day you'll see a video where I'm going back to med school at 30.
Huh?
Yeah, so I switched into computer science, which brings me to job number 4. And this is a whole new world. I did not come from like an engineering school background. It was not like, oh, my parents are software engineers. Honestly, growing up in SoCal, I feel like there were many more people who were like, oh, my parents own a business, or my parents, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what a lot of my friends' parents do, but it was not like, oh, my dad's the CEO of Google. It was a whole new world to me, and everyone was like, oh, you need to get an internship, bro. Like, if you want a full-time job, you need an internship now. It's like, oh, okay, like, I thought it was just like, because my game plan was just like, oh, go work at hospitals and like go work in research labs, do bio, do chem. But no, it was like, you need an internship. So I did get one my sophomore summer. This is job number 4. I was a software engineering intern, $50 an hour, fully remote, and I negotiated a $2,000 signing bonus. And I was actually the first intern that they accepted for their summer program, so after I negotiated that, they extended it to all the other interns without them having to ask. Y'all welcome. Yeah, it just goes to show that, you know, even if you fail or don't do well in a subject, you can still pursue it. Because I got a 3 on the AP Computer Science exam. To be fair, my teacher was not very good. He was not very good. He did not really teach that well, and he was just like, just do it. I was like, okay. But yeah, $50 an hour was lit. I was working from home. I started hitting the gym. Like, this is nice. This is really nice.
Ooh, this is nice.
I can't do this until I'm 50, gang. But yeah, so that was fun. So yeah, technically a little pay cut. I feel like my backup plan, if I ever get fired or laid off, backup plan D is like find a nice academically focused wealthy neighborhood and start tutoring again, because I took a pay cut for that internship. Yeah, you know. Anyway, the following summer I got another internship. Wow. That was lit. I actually have always had an interest in game engineering, game programming. I would play games and like I would wonder like, how did they make this? Like, how do you make all the inputs do this? So actually my computer science major I had an emphasis in games. I was a gameplay engineering intern at a very big game company, summer 2023, Activision Blizzard. I was not working on Call of Duty, which honestly sounded scary, so I'm kind of glad. The pay was $47.50 an hour, but $10,000 stipend, which I negotiated to $12,000. So overall, I was making more money that summer than I was the previous summer. Spent the summer in San Francisco with my sister. Although my previous internship offered me $52.50, I thought this was a good opportunity to try an internship in games. So I took it, and I don't regret it. I had a really great time. I learned a lot about physics. I take it back. I had a great time, except for the physics. I'm so awful at physics. I hate physics. A lot of physics in 3D gameplay programming. Vector.
Oh yeah.
Cross product. Dot product. I was like,
Huh?
but it was good. It was good. Like Unreal, it was like very good for me to learn all these things and experience all these things. Got lots of gaming merch, which was also really fun. Unfortunately, this was the summer before Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King. Nobody got a return offer, and then a couple months later they laid people off, 9,000 employees or something. So, and people I knew that I had worked with over the summer got laid off, so that was a little rough. So I was back on the grind to find a job my senior year of college, and that was, oh my god.
PSA, don't get your bachelor's and master's in computer science, because you will be unemployed.
I basically got a job offer like 2 days before graduation. Like, I think like the last day of classes or something, that's when I got a job offer. It was so hard to hear back from companies, pass interviews. To be fair, I hate leak coding, don't we all? But oh my god, it was just one awful experience, rejection after another. I got a job. Job number 6 was as a rotational software engineer at a company called Ingram Micro. Salary was $80,000, which I was like, oh, there goes my dreams of a 6-figure SWE job. But you know, I was gonna take it. I was going to take it, and I negotiated that up from I think 70 something thousand because I had my master's degree. Oh yeah. I also combined, the other great thing about my school is that they have a combined bachelor's and master's program. So you can do your master's program in fewer classes. Some people take an extra semester, an extra year or two. I was able to cram it in the 4 years. So extra bang for my buck, because because I'm a value maxer. 2 degrees, 4 years, not full tuition. But yeah, so my new job was in Irvine, and I'm from Southern California, but like LA County. So the commute was like, without traffic is like an hour, and then with traffic is like an hour and a half, 2 hours. 3 days a week, but still like 1.5 to 2 hours one way. I was crashing out. I was crashing out so bad. I started looking at apartments in Orange County because honestly the job was really chill. For the commute, I was crashing out. I started looking at Airbnbs and I started looking at jobs. So I started reapplying jobs here and there, and something just started clicking. The way I was lead coding.
Whoa.
I think I had more stuff on my resume at that time too. So, but actually, the current job number 7 that I have right now, I applied to that before I started working at my first full-time job, which was interesting. So they didn't have my resume with my new stuff, but they still reached out to me, which was pretty cool. But yeah, the lead code just started clicking, and I was like, oh my god, like, should have been mercy. Any kind of support, you end up losing. Oh, just all that. Could have been mercy. I gotta play any kind of support. So yes, my current job as a software engineer in big tech, packed all my things, moved up to San Francisco. The pay for my job number 7 is 159,000 base, which I was like,
Huh?
that's like double.
Huh?
And that was just in the base salary. My previous company, they IPO'd while I was there. None of the employees got anything. I was like, could have given like 6-7 shares at least. And then they laid off our like program manager, and I was like,
Huh?
but you know what? She's doing well. I stalked her on LinkedIn. She's a director at a very big company now. I was like, you go, girl. Yeah, 159,000 base. I have no words. I'm so privileged. I'm genuinely so privileged, and it's crazy to me that there are people in tech who don't think that they're privileged making these kind of salaries either. Because I'm like, you are so privileged. But yeah, very privileged. And then the initial offer, I mean, you can find all this on levels.fyi, but 159 base, 100k stock over 4 years, bonuses, relocation stipend. I was like, this is so much money. Not enough money to retire, but like, this is so much money. My expenses are much higher now because I live in San Francisco and I'm not living at home, and rent here is expensive and food is expensive, and I make a lot of irresponsible spending choices. But great benefits, great 401k match. Literally just, it's great, and I love it here, and I'm never leaving. Yeah, but it's funny because, so at my first full-time job, I was, me and another girl from the program quit, or basically gave her like 2-week notice on the same day to the program manager, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I did not know she also told you she was quitting today. This was not planned, and poorly planned on my part, but we're all up now. We're all up. That is my salary progression from $13.50 an hour all the way out to 159,000 base salary, which I think is 70 something per hour. Super grateful. Stay in school, kids. Read lots of books. Honestly, I attribute a lot of my success to reading lots of books. My mom would I would literally beg my mom to take me to the library. She would just plop me down and walk around with like a fat stack of books. Check them out. No, just read. Honestly, reading makes standardized testing easier. You'll get into colleges easier. It makes writing essays easier. Everything is better if you read. Maybe this whole video was just propaganda to get people to read more. And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to be like super intellectual or like Atomic Habits or The Art of Negotiation. Like, I can't read this kind of books. Just read. Like, I'm reading Lord of the Mysteries, Circle of Inevitability, Shadow Slave right now, and I feel smarter already. Read lots of books, kids. I know we have AI, but you should read. Trust me. But yeah, that is my full salary progression. I hope this video is helpful to somebody out there, because, you know, I just want to make silly videos, opening smiskies and doing vlogs and things like that. But, you know, I think it's good to be authentic, share these stories, share my background with my audience, so helps you better understand how I am where I am right now, and maybe help you get to wherever you want to be. Thank you for watching. Remember that money, it does not necessarily equal success. At least that's my opinion. I know people who are like, if you're not making money, then you're like not successful, which I think is kind of a dumb metric for success. I think success is however you define it in achieving your goals. But that's just me. But yeah, money is not the end all be all. There are many ways to success and happiness, but we do live in a capitalistic society, so money is necessary, which is why I'm here. You know, if money was not a constraint, I would I would have a plot of land, raise chickens, have a farm, make my own ceramics, forage, trade, internet access to play games, make YouTube videos, things like that. But you know, here we are. At least my approach to it is that I want to be financially secure, financially stable, to be able to do the things I want to do outside of my work. So that's my philosophy. But anyway, maybe that's a video for another time on my thoughts on the world. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was helpful or entertaining at the very least. Maybe it wasn't. Let me know in the comments below, but you know, all that jazz. Like, subscribe, comment, etc. And I will try to keep making videos. Love you all.